most of you guys are probably in your 20s who watch my videos, and you may not want to think about this right now, but let me just tell you quickly about this guy, Tyler. He's from Virginia, United States, and now he lives in Germany, has a wife and a child. I used to play RuneScape with him, and I'm sure that 2 years before it happened, he would have never imagined that that all would happen and he would be in the Air Force or whatever it is. So sure, it can happen to anybody. That being said, let's talk about how to take care of your children and the baby when it's born, and the most important things to make it independent and free from the system, so it doesn't always have to go to doctors and all that stuff. Diet, of course, is the thing that I'll talk about first, seeing as I'm so into nutrition and all that stuff. And obviously, do not make the mistake that people do, especially here, and give them anything with grains, any grain products at all, because a baby's stomach is so incredibly sensitive to the wrong foods. If you damage it, then you damage the nerves. This human could be harmed for life. The only thing that a baby can digest with no problems at all are light foods. And what's the lightest food? Raw meat, of course. Also eggs and any kinds of fat. In Africa, what do you think is the first thing that babies eat? It's liver. And the people there are simply not as brainwashed as they are here. They still eat naturally. And if you will feed your child liver and all kinds of organs, you will have a super baby. No disease, nothing. All the eczemas that babies get from grains and all that, forget it. It will be the healthiest kid out of the group. And of course, all that a baby requires, firstly, for months and for years, is breast milk, just to say the obvious. Except if it's not possible, then you should think about all the other stuff. Okay, and about after birth, what happens? Firstly, obviously, giving birth at home would be ideal. If you believe that there could be any complications, alright, in the hospital, do not let them do any stuff to the baby, such as putting antibiotics in the eyes. It's completely not required. It does more harm than good. Just look at the statistics of it. And don't cut the umbilical cord. Look into Lotus birth for more information about that. It will fall off naturally. Nature provided it. Why? To have a better blood flow, and because of the nutrients, and even more. Otherwise, it would fall off after birth, just like that, but it doesn't. It falls off after days. So it's a mistake that in hospital they cut it off. And about child circumcision, if you haven't heard about it, if you live in Europe, thankfully we haven't heard about it here, but actually in the United States they mutilate men's penises by cutting off part of it in the front, and this is because of the Jews. The Jews brought it to the United States for a lot of reasons. A lot of children actually die from it. Then there's thousands of American men walking around without a penis, because many babies actually lose their penis in this process. And then there's a lot of other problems. But all of them have mutilated penises and are not able to enjoy sex as much, and all the fun stuff, so to speak. You can look into it if you want to read about yourself what actually happens and how unnatural sex is for the women and for the men who have sex with these mutilated men. Follow the links in the description for more information about all of this. An elephant in the hospital is a lecture about the circumcision, for example, and there will be more stuff. And just to say the obvious once again, the most important thing, of course, for a baby's safety and security and for its health is being with the baby after it's born. So being with his parents or her parents, because in hospitals they may take the baby away from you even if it's for a brief time. So this is traumatizing actually for the newborn. Vaccinations, controversial stuff. If you haven't seen the documentary Vaxxed, watch it, even if it's not about your children. You may want to see it because you have likely also been vaccinated. There's so much stuff in there that no human has ever required. It's completely ridiculous that they actually manipulated us into injecting that stuff into us. It's completely proven that it destroys us, but it's still going on. Neurological damage, epilepsy, autism, schizophrenia. When the neurons get damaged and they actually change their form and size from being straight, so to speak, to being like that, or after enough torture of the body from vaccines and diet, they may actually just die off. And this is, for example, how schizophrenia works. And as far as medicine goes, obviously you understand that I'm not a fan of it. Of course, some of it may be useful now and then, like pain relief in some certain situation, but generally just no. And as far as, for example, stuff like lowering fever goes, that's just plain stupid, because fever is a sign that your body is fighting a virus, for example. And I've mentioned in my videos that I haven't had a cold, for example, or anything like that ever since I started sun gazing. But I'm sure that I've had a virus enter my body, so to speak, in all of this time, because I've had the fever for a few hours before going to bed, and when I woke up, everything was gone. Whereas I used to be sick for a week when that kind of stuff happened, like most people. So it's just my immune system that fights off these viruses. So nothing, of course, will prevent you from getting a virus in any place. It can happen anywhere, but the point is having an immune system that can actually simply get rid of it. That's what a healthy body does. Also, don't teach your children to use soap and be afraid of bacteria. I don't even want to get into it because it's all so ridiculous. Destroying the bacteria on your hands or anywhere is completely anti-health. Also, don't wash your clothes, your children's clothes, with any of the commercial stuff, because it's full of poison, and again will cause a lot of disease, allergies, and it goes actually into the body, and so much damage. What I would recommend you to do when it comes to being quote-unquote clean, actually getting some kind of animal, a dog, and let your child play in the mud with the dog. Those are the healthiest children who are exposed to all the natural stuff. I see a lot of babies covered up nowadays, or even with sunscreen, because their parents are trying to protect them from the sun. Depriving your babies from vitamin D and all the other stuff that comes with the sun when they are growing and their immune system, that's just completely irresponsible. And that's really going on nowadays. Just don't do that. Another thing I want to talk about is tooth decay and brushing your teeth. We may all have heard about silver fillings and the mercury, which is a similar cause for the neurological damage. And thankfully there's some awareness about it nowadays. But it hasn't been exactly removed everywhere. It's still going on. Same with the vaccines. And there's, of course, other harmful things in both of these things. brushing teeth is normal to an extent. Using your fingers now and then, or some kind of salts, which people used to do once a week or once a month, that's all right. But if you brush it all the time and you remove the natural things from your teeth, you destroy the bacteria which protect your teeth with toothpaste, and then you feed bacteria with carbohydrates which cause tooth decay and smelly breath. That's not what you're supposed to do. And if you would not or at least limit the carbohydrate consumption of your children, then you wouldn't have these problems in the first place. And if you give them enough nutritional foods, organs and seafood, they will not have any problems with their teeth at all. They will grow completely straight, just strong bones in general. Final words. You may have heard about feral children, which are these children who grow up, such as here in some kind of a forest, in the woods, in nature, and they grow up with other animals, and then years later they are still more or less affected by it. So think about it. You are completely in control of your children. All the stuff that you teach them, such as brushing their teeth, they will do it all of their life, because even those kind of things, such as the barking girl and all that, you can look it up yourself. It's hard to get rid of it. So if you think that brainwashing and manipulating people is not real, it is, and that's why they do it to children.